All right, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Give us a second to check the feed. Let's see. All right, we good. All right, shalom. It's the
Shalom.
brothers from Great Millstone, Charlotte, coming back with another Lord willing edifying lesson to feed the elect of the nation of Israel. And before we get started with this lesson, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Hakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us his truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring in our truth and sincerity. To you, we say shalom.
Shalom.
All right. And in this lesson, as you see the title, all right, you Edomites will go from having everything to having nothing. And this lesson was inspired by a couple of videos that I've seen, a few brothers go in on. And this is going to be centered around, two videos involving this devil, Jared Taylor. Now, I'm not really too familiar about what he does, but the talking points that he makes in these videos, all right, it pretty much epitomizes, all right, the average everyday Edomite and their pride as far as them believing that this land America was truly theirs, from the beginning, but also the talking points of how they literally want what they call a white only nation, to where they want to get rid of all the other Israelite tribes as well as the heathen, to where they want to be able to live in a country that's owned completely by them, which we know that's all bullshit, because Esau truly has no culture. All right, his culture is colonialism, which is pretty much him going and rape, robbing, and murdering everybody's land. All right, so if he was left to his own, all right, to where he would have a nation with just Edomites, that society wouldn't last, because he wouldn't know what to do with himself, man. You know,
Mhm.
you got anything you want to add, Cornwall?
I mean, just laying back. That's why you see them pushing this AI and things of that nature. You know, because they want a perfect slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they want to put people who aren't of that same ilk, right, as being the so-called white, right? They want them to stay in subjection, man. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they had things like eugenics, and that's why they had what's her name, Margaret Singer, right, going into trying to quell the population because they are becoming the minority.
Mm-hmm. Well, really, they are the minority. They pump these pseudo facts out here to make it seem like they're the majority, but literally Esau is the minority in America and all around the world. So through the lies that this devil has spread throughout the world, he has convinced himself, which is really the elites that has convinced these lower everyday Edomites that they are more than what they are. You know, and so this dude, Jared Taylor, when you listen to this video, he is pretty much speaking, all right, for the maggers and those that still are blinded by the illusion that Trump is for them. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and hop in this video. Conflict. People diligently slitting each other's throats. Like, you got any points you want to add throughout the video, brother? Go ahead and hop in that too.
Okay, okay.
Whether it's in the Middle East, whether it's in Africa, it's because of diversity of ethnicity, of language, of religion, but primarily of race.
So you want to live in a white-only country?
Not necessarily white only, but a country that is clearly based on a European model, in which whites will basically remain the overwhelming majority in perpetuity.
Okay, how do you achieve that?
Well, that's an excellent question. Donald Trump has got some first good steps in mind. He wants to make sure no more illegal immigrants come into the country, and he wants to make sure that all illegal immigrants here go back. He wants to end birthright citizenship. He wants to put at least a temporary ban on Muslim immigration.
What happens with Asians? What happens with African Americans? What happens with Latinos?
What happens to my
You presented me with a very limited view of the United States.
You're saying the United States is a place anybody can come and turn it into anything you want, and the people who built this country and established its institutions, if they glimmer away, so what? You are promoting a process that will reduce my people to a minority. You want more power for Latinos. That comes at the expense of my people's power.
And I find this very hypocritical because the very way that America became the so-called great nation was through Edomite colonization of where they went and grabbed up, so-called Black, Latino, and Native American slaves, as well as they had the heathen nations, all right, help in building up this land. But Esau wants to take all the credit, all right, and pretty much put this narrative out there like society can't run without him, man. You know,
Hmm. It's
so
that.
this whole no, go ahead.
Now I was just gonna add this the same sentiment of the civilization started with the Greeks, right?
Right.
They have that same mentality, and like you said, the foundation of this country was off the back of Jake, man, right? But he's not going. They're not going to acknowledge that, right? Because they still don't look at you as human,
Nope.
right? And once we're seeing in the society right now where the lower level Edomites are being lumped into the same category as Jakes at this point, man, right? From
Mm-hmm.
their contemporaries. So now they're trying to push back, you know.
Con. We'll get a quick precept. Can you get that in Job where it says that he's a forger of lies? I think it's like
Uh,
14 and 2 or something like that.
mm,
Because that's exactly what we're hearing. Because when the dude was presented with the question from I don't know the other guy's name that's interviewing Jared Taylor, but he asked, with this dream of yours, what is going to be the outcome for so-called African Americans, Latinos, and everyone else. And you see how he just sidestepped that whole question and just made it about so you want my people to become the minority, which like I said, Esau is already the minority, man. All right, he's far outweighed as far as what's the word, racial groups in America. Okay, is more Negroes, more Latinos, more Native Americans, and we're getting to the point to where you're starting to see more of the heathen than Edomites. So he's already become the minority, all right, but they refuse to acknowledge it, and we're at a point in time to where now that reality is beginning to set in, which is why you see guys like him speaking what he's speaking because they see that this country is slipping away from their hands, man.
yeah, okay. It's Job 13 and verse 4. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value.
Yeah, you are forgers of lies and positions of no value because when it comes down to American history, you don't really go into the bloodshed, the robbery, all right, the witchcraft and all the wicked things that you did to obtain this land. All right, all you just speak about is what you have and what so-called white people have done as far as the advancement of American society. But when you really get into it, it's all bullshit and lies because none of this could have been done without the Israelites, all right, being put into those manual labor ways. You know,
Hmm.
like it
Right.
says in Zechariah 11:5, it says, "Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not." Because, like I said, this country was founded off of the bloodshed of the tribes, man. And like the dude just asked him, all right, this dream of yours of having a so-called white only nation, what about the tribes? All right, that helped build this place. Okay. And they don't consider the things that they did to the tribes as inhumane. You know, the complete almost genocide of the Native American tribes. How you forced them off of their lands and put them on the borders of America and what they call reservations. All right, the total depravity of the so-called black men. All right, how they used Issachar and the Northern Kingdom to pretty much do all the manual labor in this country, and then Trump just came in and just deported everybody, man. All right, you don't talk about the things that you did, to get to the status that you're at. All right, so now when you talk about the so-called American dream, all right, you made it to where it was impossible for the other tribes to pretty much catch up to you. But looking at today's time and how the elites are destroying America Esau is beginning to realize that they have, fallen behind to the point to where they're in the same position as the same people they shitted on, man. You know,
Exactly.
you got it out.
Now, I was just gonna add to you, Esau, being the fork tongued devil that he is, right, specializes in lying by omission. You
Yep.
know, so what they do is they're like we're seeing right now. He's asked a question, but instead of telling the whole truth, he just leaves out the parts that they don't want to confront
Right.
because it exposes their true intents, man. You know, if they
Mm-hmm.
could, they would kill all Jakes out here, man, or put you back in chains, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way they look at you. So now that they're seeing that the society that was built, by the people they look down upon is allowing, them to reach the same levels. Now, that you see them scrambling.
Mm-hmm. Continue on with the video.
For 17% of the population, and we only have 3 senators. So therefore, we don't have the political representation that we deserve.
And you want more and more and more.
Of course, because we only have
How
3
much?
senators.
How much political?
At this point, 14 senators.
And 50 years from now, how many would you like?
Let's talk about 50 years from now. In 2044,
Yes.
white, non-Hispanics will become a minority.
Yeah.
Is that what you are afraid of?
Mr. Ramos, it's fantastic for you, for my people to lose power and become a minority. That's fantastic for you. How does it feel for
Because
me?
it is our country. Mr.
Our
Tate.
country.
It is our country. Don't you think we both have the same rights in this country?
I think that despite this nonsense in the Declaration about anybody being anybody,
Excuse me,
white
you
people,
don't
the white
think
people.
we are all created equal?
No, what you want to do is change this country into an entire nation in which white people will become refugees in their own land.
So
if your vision comes through.
You don't want to live alongside Mexicans.
Now, why is it
If
wrong?
I can add a point to that, priest.
Mm-hmm.
He's speaking on how so-called whites would be refugees in their own land, but then they created refugees across the earth, man.
Yep.
Like the scriptures talk about, he spread himself as a green bay tree. Everywhere Esau goes, he brings death and destruction, man. Right. So now you have people seeking asylum, right, and they're allowing people over here, right, to get away from war-torn countries, man. Right.
Mhm.
So America is just reaping the what's the word? I don't want to say benefits, but they're reaping that the reward of what they've done in the earth, man.
Yep. I got those 2 precepts you just quoted. First one, let's get John 10:10. It says, "The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly."
Exactly. That's all they can do, man. It's in their nature, right? It's to steal, kill, and destroy, right? So everything they touch engenders death. And the part of the issue with these so-called Americans is that they're so far removed from global politics and global affairs that they can't see the damage that this country has done across the earth, man.
Exactly. Yeah, because like to add to your point, you created refugees all over the country or all over the world. You look at Britain for an example. They had, they're having the talks of implementing that digital ID over there because a lot of people are going to that land because of the instability that Esau has caused within their home countries. All right, so just the same thing like you see in America. All right, when Biden opened the borders and allowed all these different these different refugees to come into America, that really it scared these Edomites because it widened the lens to see of how small they are in compared to the rest of the world, because they understand that number one, they are the weakest nation in the world. All right, the only reason that these devils are able to have the power that they have is through their technology. All right, their lies as far as the history and whatnot, and mostly their witchcraft, man. So that's the only reason that they're able to still maintain power. But we see that power is dwindling, which is why you see them, being outright with how they truly feel now because their back is against the wall,
Okay.
But when you look at them at a whole, like you said, all right, he has spread himself all over the world to where all the countries, all right, pretty much have felt the wrath of him, taking over their lands. You have like Australia, all right, you have Iran, Pakistan, and different countries that America has been at war with. They all suffered from American tyranny, which is disguised as democracy and all that. So here it is, you can displace all these different nations, but then when it comes to them seeking refuge over here, now you feel like you're the one becoming displaced because now you don't see your country as how you envision it to be. When you see the red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes, that was the symbol of American pride. But now it's all these different colored people over here. Now they're afraid, you know. But real quick, this is Psalms chapter 77, Psalms chapter 37 and verse 5. It says, "I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like a green bay tree."
Mm-hmm. And great power, man. Right? He's not acknowledging the colonialism or
Nope.
the imperialism, right? That had taken place for hundreds of years, man. Right? What about these countries that got tired of y'all being in there, man? Right? They,
Yeah.
know?
It's a list. I see if I can pull it up. But it was a guy going into because he was speaking about the tiny tops, but he
Mm-hmm.
was going into all the lands that Esau was kicked out of because of their wickedness. So just add to that point.
Yep. God, you go into things like apartheid and what's going on
Yep.
down there. All these everywhere they go, right? The other countries try to get them out, but they
Yep.
establish footholds there, man. Right? So now that the refugees come here, right, where you offered peace and safety, now it's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Because when you get to the roots of how America became the nation that they are today, what about the Native Americans that had all the different tribes scattered around America?
Mm-hmm.
And you came like when you watched that movie, uh, the documentary, "Destroy All the Brutes," and you could just watch the difference between. Let me see if I can pull it up. Matter of fact, of how they just got rid of Gad and became the so-called white nations because you had the different things like the free land. If you kill the Indians off the land, that could become your land and different things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
Esau doesn't acknowledge those things because like what we were saying earlier, you are the true migrant. You're the true alien, the illegal immigrant, because this land was occupied before you got over here. But dude, bullshit like the doctrine of discovery and manifest destiny and all that. All right, you can bypass, the tribe that was over here because you felt like they weren't human and because they were such a lower status. All right, that gave you rights to be able to overtake them because you felt like they weren't making the use of the land like you thought, which is why you have scriptures like here in Deuteronomy 19 and 14. It says, "Thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time has set in thy inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land that the Lord thy power giveth thee to possess it." All right, this land was given to the northern kingdom. All right, which is why after the Assyrian captivity, they left and came to this part of the lands, which was known as Azareth at the time, and they were dwelling here until Christopher Columbus took his crusty red ass on that boat and came over here because he knew the tribes were over here. That's Second Esdras, the 13th chapter. So when you want to go into the history and really speak about whose land this is, because you saw the Edomites scoff when the dude said that, because this is the Northern Kingdom's land. Hey, you Edomites, you stole this shit, man. You removed the neighbors' landmarks, man. Because when you look at America, I'm gonna pull this up right now. Give me a second. When you looked at the American map of all the tribes that were here before Esau took over, all right, it was flourishing with the Gadites, but these devils, they will never speak about what they did to really get this dudes like Andrew Jackson and so on, man.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, it's hypocritical for this nigga to even say some shit like that whenever you stole everything, man.
Exactly.
All right, we'll put this up on the screen. Trying to find a bigger one. All these shits is like stuff you gotta pay for whatever reason. Let me see this one. So I'll just do a quick zoom because, like I said, Google's trying to act like you got to pay for these maps. But all these different names, these are all different Native American tribes that were occupying these lands before the so-called settlers came over here and stole everything, man. You know? So America was never truly yours, all right? And you committed great genocide to get over here like you've done in countries prior past and what you're seeing being done over there in Gaza to this day, you know. So this is just further proof that what you said, he's gonna skirt that accountability because he doesn't want to accept the fact that he is a thief. Like we read in John 10:10. All right, that's how Esau was able to become great is by going and raping, robbing everybody's land, man.
Exactly.
So now that he's seeing that he's losing this land, all right, because they mocked at the motion of America being, this great melting pot, but when America first was, becoming, great, so-called, they welcomed that notion because they understood that all these different nations coming over here was good for business for America,
Yep.
You got anything else, bro?
That was it.
We'll go back.
If my neighborhood is European, my neighborhood they don't keep chickens in the backyard that crow at 3 a.m. They don't.
That's a complete stereotype. That's a complete stereotype.
Yes, and stereotypes are all true.
It's a racist stereotype, like you're saying.
Oh, racist! Give me a break.
What are you gonna do with the thousands of?
Even in that statement right there, stereotypes are all true except when it applies to Edomites.
Exactly.
You got all the stereotypes dealing with tiny tots, and that's being anti-Semitic. But then you can make all these jokes about niggas, Mexicans, and spics. And even what he just said, that was an ignorant statement because chickens don't roost, it's roosters. So, and not every Northern Kingdom, family has a fucking chicken coop where they can actually have that. So that's some bullshit.
American citizens who are serving in the military.
I'm sure that we just couldn't possibly survive with all those Muslim Navy Rangers. Yes, I'm sure that's true.
That is not right.
No. I'm talking
you
about
cannot make
Muslim.
fun of people who are saving our lives.
They want special holidays and special food.
So if you don't like their religion, you don't have to join them. That's fine.
No, they are.
But you can't discriminate against them simply because you.
Of course, anyone should have the right to discriminate against anyone he wishes. And the point is,
but not by the law, Mr. Taylor. You can't do that.
I think the law is absolutely incorrect.
Do you feel that whites are superior or more intelligent than blacks?
I think on average, whites are more intelligent than blacks, and North Asians are more intelligent than whites.
How can you say that?
How can you think otherwise?
Mr. Taylor,
what evidence would you have to think that a pygmy is, on average, is just as intelligent as a Dane? Why would you think that? The entire record of history is completely consistent with the assumption that black Africans are less intelligent on average than Asians or Caucasians.
That's absurd. That's repugnant and absurd.
Repugnant to you?
Yes, of course.
Why would you even entertain the possibility that on average a pygmy is as intelligent as a Japanese?
The comparison that you are trying to make, it is simply impossible because of historical circumstances, because economic conditions, because of the movement.
And even with that statement, that's some bullshit because your IQ, thing was all just a manufactured ploy to make yourself seem like you're better than the so-called black man. But we know that's not true because who invented everything in America? All right, so-called blacks and the Northern Kingdom. Who pretty much king, like we had to. I always bring this example out when you had those inmates, or a bunch of so-called black inmates that they went and had a debate with, I think it was students from Yale, and they embarrassed the shit out of him, man. Yep. So Esau he's a retard, man. All right, and the best way we can show that in the scriptures. Can you get Psalms 82:5, Baba Gusha? Because this man, don't even know how to run a country. This nigga making GMOs. This motherfucker spraying the air with chemicals. He's telling people that gender and sex are two different things, so that people can be what they want. All right, you got them wanting to be animals and having sex with nature and shit. There's all type of bullshit that this devil has allowed with his so-called high IQ, but it's been destructive to life and the earth itself, man.
Right. We see what happens when Esau is, amongst his own people, man.
Exactly.
It's a whole file that just came out about all that shit, man. That you see what Greek history, Roman history,
Yep.
right? That's them, right? Being amongst their own. Now Jake was sprinkled in there, but that's the world they want to go back to, where they can do all these debaucherous things without any repercussions, man.
That's right.
But this is Psalm 82:5. It says, "They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course."
Right, and this is due to the niggas in the rulership seat, man. If you were so smart like you claim, the earth would not be on the brink of death, because when we get an example, the last great rulership that we had dealing with King Solomon, man, the whole earth was at peace.
Mm-hmm.
This nigga is supposed to be the almighty smart nigga, and the world is at war in every aspect or every aspect. All right, class, world, down to race. Even amongst the country, you got civil war. But if he's so smart, why can't you keep peace in the earth, man?
Exactly.
All right, why can't you keep life going, man? All right, because we know that you having a so-called white only nation, that shit ain't gonna last for nothing. Because, like you said, we see what happened when you left to your own. All right, and you got videos like I don't know if you seen the video, Cornwall. You seen the that family that they was all like retarded, barking like dogs and shit.
Those all inbred and all that. Yeah,
that's what's gonna be the end of a Edomite only nation, man. Because they're not gonna know how to survive, and this is why you had it's two cities that tried to do a white only city. It was one in I think Arkansas and one in Missouri, and they said that shit pretty much is not flourishing like they thought because they need immigrants over there, so called people that's gonna till the land, that's gonna cook, that's gonna do things for them because Esau can't do nothing on his own, man. He lacks the ability to create. Only thing he can create is chaos.
Man, real quick, it's Job 30:8. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is what we're seeing. Right? This is the vile man, the base man, right? Who was put up in power through the Spirit of the Lord, man. Otherwise, he would still be in the caves, man. Yep. Right? If it wasn't for Yahweh Shemel Shai allowing this man to be in the power seat, he would have stayed at the bottom, right? And so the whole intelligence narrative, which is has always been bullshit, right? All of these things, the arguments that they make, right? All these things they were divinely put there, right, for their own judgment, man, and to show the earth what happens when you put the lowest people in a position of power, man.
Exactly. What's that? Ecclesiastes, woe to the land when thy king is a child.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Edom. That's the Edomites, man. All right. Ungodable. Dennis the Menace.
Exactly.
When we finish this out, hop to that other one.
Have to be willing to say to all those who are non-European, we wish you well, but this territory is for us. And sorry, we have the right to be us, and only we can be us.
So you want me to leave?
Under certain circumstances, yes, we would ask you to go. Unless whites are prepared to exclude people, then they will be shoved aside. That is the fate which I will fight until my last breath.
All right, so that's that one. So let's get this other one.
Gotta get this for you real quick.
You got it.
This is Slovakia. Let's see if I can find it. Genesis chapter 4 and verse 12. It reads, When thou tillest the ground, it should not henceforth yield unto thee her strength.
Start at verse 1. I had to add that on my list.
It says start
I mean,
1.
it's like not 1:11. It's lucky.
Oh, gotcha. So Genesis 4:11, and thou art and now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength.
Mm-hmm.
A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth.
Mm-hmm. And this is how we know that the Edomites are the descendants of Cain, because they carry that curse that Cain was given, which is the curse of leprosy. All right, which was the mark to let us know who the wicked were, in today's time, leading, from Cain. So, as I said, all right, you're cursed to where the earth wasn't gonna yield her fruit to him, which is why everywhere Esau goes, all right, that land becomes a wasteland. All right, that's why he was given Europe, and Europe pretty much is a land void of minerals. All right, you have over here in America. All right, Esau pretty much made America, which was known as the land of milk and honey, and turned it into a third world country cesspool, man. Because all he knows how to do is take until there's nothing left, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially what he's done to the earth as a whole, which is why, as we're gonna get into, okay, these devils they're about to lose everything, man, because you have that saying like with niggas, you can't give niggas nothing, good, because they'll destroy it. Well, that's what happened with Esau, man.
Exactly.
And this nigga was given the whole world by the Lord, and he destroyed it. So this is why you're gonna lose everything, man. Because you're not fit to run the earth, man. You got it.
Okay. Genesis 4:13. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me.
Yep, and that's where Esau is beginning to feel, that tension on him, man. All right, because everybody is beginning to look at him as the problem in the earth. All right, go ahead.
And that's exactly what that Edomite was, expressing right there. Right, he's afraid of being wiped off the map, right, because he knows that they have no place, right, outside of being the base man, right. There's no need for Esau to be in the earth, man, aside from being these warmongering, death machines.
Yeah,
Verse 15.
yeah, that's why they're so hesitant to bring in World War III, because they know in their spirit that once World War III happens, that's it for them. There's no rebuilding. Even though you got the elites trying to bring in this, this new world order, thinking they're going to rebuild from the ashes like the phoenix. That's all going to be done in vain, because the Lord's not going to allow you to build back up once this kingdom is destroyed.
Exactly. And it's Genesis 4:15. And the Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, the vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold.
All right,
And the Lord
and
said,
let's finish out, Flocky.
Okay. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him.
Right, which is what I went into about the mark of leprosy. Okay, so that's the defining factor to let us know who the wicked is that the Lord cursed. All right, and real quick, grab Proverbs 3:33, because just want to go into this as well, because like I said, Esau is feeling, all right, that tension brewing in the earth to where all nations are becoming, all right, sick of him, man. All right, specifically the tribe of Amalek, but all Edomites in a whole, because the very sentiment that you see this dude Jared Taylor have, all right, the average Joe six-pack Edomite has it, as well as the Edomites all over the world, and the nations are sick of it. Because everybody is seeing that these devils they're unsatiable. They're you can't negotiate with them, because they're gonna eventually backdoor you and stab you in the back. All right, they're gonna steal everything. They're gonna they're just they're not needed in the earth ultimately, man. Because like you said, they don't bring anything beneficial to the planet.
Okay, this is Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 33. The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blesseth the habitation of the just.
Right. The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked. So that curse is going to eventually lead to his destruction. All right. So he's marked for destruction, and no matter what he tries to do to get around that, that curse is sticking. Okay, because his end is destruction. That's why when you read in the Zondervan Bible Compact Dictionary, it talks about Edom being the only nation not promised mercy from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because hey, this man has done so much wickedness, all right, in the earth, that it is fitting the destruction that the Lord has planned for him, and to the point to where no nation is going to bewail him once he's taken down, man. They're actually going to rejoice, like it says in Isaiah the 14th chapter, which we'll get in a little bit. But the point is this: that hedge is being taken away. All right, they see that their country is slipping away. All right, they feel the threat of the nations, gaining on them. They feel that they are the minority, and they're realizing that they're little in lieu to all the other nations in the earth. So this is why you see them, all right, rejoicing in things like ICE, the laws that Trump is presenting them, because they truly feel that these things are working for their betterment, because now they have they're on the way back up, which is all a facade. All right, so play this real quick one, then we'll get a few more.
I want to know how it is you voted for Donald Trump when you're so into facts, because his entire campaign is not based in facts. It was all based in propaganda and emotion.
I voted for Donald Trump for one reason only. His policies, if implemented, would slow the dispossession of whites in the United States. If you were to deport all illegal immigrants, if you were to think very hard about letting in any Muslims, all of this would slow the rate at which whites are becoming a minority.
Why are you so worried about the white dispossession of America?
Because I want my people to survive. Is that so strange? We don't control China. We don't control any place where whites are not a majority. And if we become a minority, we will not control our own destiny anymore.
I grew up in this country as a minority, as the children of immigrants.
And like you said earlier, that's his biggest fear, is becoming a minority, because then he knows he's going to be what's that word, like misaligned, or pretty much going to be looked down upon, like how he does the other nations. All right, mm-hmm. Esau only has that pride when he feels that he outnumbers everybody, man.
Exactly.
But the scriptures say this, like Obadiah 1:2, it says, "Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised." And that's the feeling that Esau is beginning to feel in the earth, man. That they are greatly despised amongst all the other nations because of what Israel and America is doing in the earth. Everybody hates them. And it's like I said, in the spirit, they can feel that hedge that Yahweh Shem Yahushua had around them is being removed. All right. So now they feel that danger coming, which is why, they were so desperate for a guy like Trump to get in office and tell them the thing that they was telling them, because they feel in danger, man. They know that their time is coming. They know that the judgment for what they've been doing in the earth is going to be brought to them, and they're afraid, man.
Yeah.
So I was their first child born in.
You got something?
Oh no, you got it.
And while I didn't have much possession or didn't have much control, I really enjoyed myself. And I think that if you ask a lot of Americans, they would say that I had a lot to offer this country. According to you, I guess I would be perpetuating the dispossession of white America.
That is true. That is true.
Would you say that you wouldn't want me in this country?
At some point, when my ancestors built this nation, they did not build it with the intention of giving it away to Mexicans or Chinese or Haitians or to anyone else.
Do you consider, you keep saying your ancestors built this country, you consider that a fact?
Who else built it?
Black people, Native Americans, Chinese people who came and built the railroads.
Do you think none of that could have been
Italian people?
But they're Europeans, aren't
they? So, hey, just show you the pride of this man, which that pride is ultimately going to be his undoing, because what they fail to realize, which a lot of them are starting to see it now, but you've been so blinded by the so-called racial superiority that Esau gave you, or that the elites gave you through, color psychology, that you don't even realize that the tiny tops have been robbing y'all, blind really since America's upbringing. You know, the different, industrial revolutions and everything. That was all to lead up to the point to where we're at now, to where you Edomites, all right, are now being on the same level as Jake. Now you're slaves in your own kingdom, man. Which led me to this quote by Lyndon Baines Johnson, which says, I'll tell you what's at the bottom of it. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, he'll give somebody, it says, hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. You want to say something on that, bro?
Just like Elder Yashawamba went into, his lesson, they created this whole situation, right, to maintain power, man.
Yep.
Right. They saw that there was a what's the word, common ground between the lowest level Edomites and Jake, right? Because they, like you said, Amalek looks at these American Edomites, right, as nothing as well, man. Right? They see exactly, right? So they needed to create that line, right, so that they could continue to keep that control, man. And what these Americans don't realize is that this place was never designed to last in the first place, man.
Nope.
Right? It was just a cash cow, right, until they decided to move on. And now that they're moving on, right, they're casting them to the side, and they're trying to fight back to maintain that power, man.
Yeah, and the bottom line is this: that, like I said, they feel that their end is near, and they're afraid. So this is why, no matter what, Eddie Ashwan, constantly bring this part out, but no matter what, ICE is doing, all they gotta do is just show them deporting niggas, so-called, Mexicans, Latinos, or whatnot, and they'll be fine with that, not realizing that now the target's on you too, which is why those two incidents that happened with those Edomites, Renee Good and Alex Pretty, or whatever his name was, those were Edomites that ICE killed, So showing you that they don't care about the average Edomite anymore, man, which they never did, but you were just a means to an end,
Right.
So Esau is seeing that, hey, when this country goes down, they're going to be the main target for everybody to get their anger out on, man. All right. Real quick, this is Isaiah 13 and 14. It says, and it shall be as the chased roe, and as the sheep that no man taketh up. They shall turn every man to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land. And this is what's about to happen to Esau, man. He's about to be the main target, all right, for everybody to come after, because everybody knows that Esau has all the food, has all the water, all right. He has all the guns and everything. So these Edomite neighborhoods are going to be the main targets the people are going to go after, man, because these well-to-do Edomites, what they call what's that word? What you call the niggas that got everything? It's a word I can't
like
think of.
affluent.
Yeah, affluent. Edomites. Hey, they're gonna be the main ones getting robbed, killed, and all that, because they know that they have everything that they need to survive, man.
Real quick, this is Job 18, and this is what that Edomite is afraid of right here. Job 18 and verse 16. It reads, "His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off." Right. So their foundation, right, is going to be wiped away, and their future is going to be taken away. That's what they're trying to fight against, man. Right. It says, "His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street." Right. So Esau is going to disappear from existence anyway, man. Right? They're just trying to kick the can down the road, right, through these different laws and legislations, right, to keep these American Edomites happy, man. But they can feel the end is near,
Yep. Add to you real quick. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 4. It says, like you said, this is their fear. It says, "And her name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance. and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. All right. So Esau knows that once he goes out of power, that's it. All right. So their main fear is that all this shit that they've done on the earth to try to make a name for themselves is going to be done away with. All right, which will happen when the Israelites get the kingdom of heaven. We're going to tear down all remembrance of everything that you did, you know. So only remember, like how you did with Jake. You know, you made Jake think that we have no history up to slavery, man. So what happened after you took us off the west coast of Africa? All right, we have no history according to you before that, man. All right, and we were just Tarzan in the goddamn woods, swinging on trees, wearing loincloths and shit. Well, we had thriving, kingdoms and a vast history prior to being took into slavery, during the transatlantic slave trade, man. So he's afraid of that same thing happening to him. All right, because you have really done nothing memorable in the earth but rape, rob, and murder, man. All right. So that, like you said, that's why the Edomites feel the way they do, because they know that their time is coming. Could you get Job chapter 20, verse 27 through 29?
God. So Job chapter 20, verse 27. The heavens shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him.
And that's what's happening now. All right. All the atrocities that Esau has been doing. This is why you have the Epstein files being released. All right. The history of what these devils have been doing. All right. Prior to owning America, even going into their history with the Romans, the Romans, the Greeks. All right, the different secret societies that they've been having. All right, dealing with the Knights of Templar, the Council of 13, the different, witch covens and different things. All these things are being brought out. All right. And it says, and the earth shall rise up against him, which is why all the nations are preparing war to shoot missiles over here, man, because they're sick of America. They're sick of Israel. They're sick of you Edomites, man.
Mm-hmm. Down verse 28. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's about to happen. You're about to go from having everything to nothing, man. All right. Like we always use the saying, right? You'll go from rags to riches to rags, man. All right. You gonna be starting with the elites, all right, to never having to never work a day into your life to working till you die, man.
Man. Yep. Verse 29. This is the portion of a wicked man from the Most High, and the heritage appointed unto him by the Most High.
Right. This is going back to that curse that's in the house of the wicked, man. All right. Your end is pure destruction to where, hey, after 1,000 years of your hardcore slavery, all you Edomites are going to be rounded up and put in the pit and burned, according to Obadiah 1 and 18. So your remembrance is going to cease from the earth, man. All right. So all this shit that you did to try to, have your name stamped in history is going to be erased. All right. So from there, let's go to Isaiah 14, and we're going to read from verse 4 all the way down to 15, and that'll be it.
God. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 4. That thou take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased.
Yeah, and this is what we're proclaiming, okay? Because when Yahushua returns, man, Babylon the Great will be no more. All right. And these Edomites are just now coming to the realization that this fear is about to happen, man. All right. It's already started happening because America has been imploding from within for some time now, man. All right. Because like we mentioned earlier, the elites have been done with America for a while now. So it's just been a slow kill as far as them, corroding this place until it's ready for them to bring in this new world order. But that new world order isn't going to save America. It's not going to save Esau's kingdom, because the end result of Esau's rulership is destruction, man. All right. So as it says, how the golden city ceased? Because Yahweh Shah is taking away all the power that they had, but they had the knowledge from the left hand demons and all that's being done away with, man. So they're going to be left bare and ready for the taking.
Okay. Isaiah 14:5. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers.
Yeah, hey, like I said earlier, the Lord is taking away those demons that you've been communing with that have given you the power to do what you're doing. So you're about to be left naked out here, man. Go ahead.
He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth.
And the Lord is going to, bring vengeance, all right, for what you have done, not only to His people, but to the earth itself. All will get redeemed, all right, by the Lord for the wrath that this devil has been doing. Because under this man, hey, nothing is getting rest, man. All right, he's trying to literally enslave and destroy everything. You know, so it's going to come a point to where the Lord has to step in. Otherwise, it's not going to be no flesh to be saved. It's not going to be a planet to save, man, if the Lord allowed this man to continue on what he was doing.
Mhm. Verse 7. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing.
Keep going.
Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us.
Right, and this is going into the prophecies after America's destruction, because the whole earth is going to rejoice once Esau Edom is taken out the power seat, and it goes into the fir trees and the cedars of Lebanon rejoicing because that's on one hand representing the nations, which the scriptures refer to the nations as trees. All right, they're going to rejoice as the hammer of the earth has been broken, but also you can apply this to the actual trees, all right, because trees have spirits as well, and they're going to be rejoicing because Esau Edom isn't going to be able to cut them down like how he's been doing. So you won't have things such as deforestation taking place anymore, man, because the laws tell you, all right, when you cut down, certain trees, you're supposed to leave, they're supposed to leave some behind as well, all right. But this man is just, destructive. So, hey, everybody's going to rejoice when Esau is taken out, man. Continue on.
Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming.
Mm-hmm.
It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations.
Right, because that hell that you put on all the other nations, all right, on all the earth, all right, it's gonna meet you, all right, and you're not gonna be able to pretty much take it, man. All right, because like I said, all the nations are gonna eventually shoot missiles and destroy this place. So you're gonna feel how it feels to be, the oppressed, the hunted, in that
Right.
time.
Mhm. All they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we?
Yeah, like we referred to that scripture in the book of Jeremiah. I believe it's either the 50 or 51st chapter about the hammer of the earth. All right. So the nations are now, being put on a level playing field with Esau because everybody has nuclear capabilities at this point. So the nations are looking at America like, are you now as weak as us? We're on the same playing field now, man. Like they're saying, it ain't fun once the rabbit got the gun, man. And that's why these nations are unfair. That's why you see them, all right, so adamant about not letting countries like Iran have nuclear capabilities because they know that all that hell that they're putting on the Elamites, the Ishmaelites, they're gonna return that and then some. All right, with the backing of Russia and China and other
Yep,
other countries, so they're in fear of that, man.
exactly. It says, Art thou become like unto us? Thy
Mm-hmm.
pomp is it's like thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee.
Right, that pomp is being brought down to the grave, which is their pride, man. All
Mhm.
right. It's only gonna be so much longer where you're gonna see Edomites like that dude Jared Taylor being able to speak like that. All right, because that pride is gonna be replaced with fear. Okay, because their country is being destroyed as we speak. All right, we always go into the that term wormwood. All right, go dealing with the corrosion of America. This shit is done. All right, America is what you would call septic. All right, to where it's been a disease for so long that it's uncurable at this point. Well, that's the country, man. Okay, there's no coming back from the shit that's been done in this place, man. You know.
Mhm. Okay. Isaiah, so Isaiah 14 and verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
Right. It's not speaking about the spiritual demon Satan being kicked out of heaven. No, this is going into all right the ones in power are who they would deem as the Illuminati or enlightened ones coming out the power seat. Okay, because the reason why they were deemed so great because they were in communion with these demons that were giving them insight on how to pretty much get into power and stay in power. Well, now the Lord is taking that knowledge from them to where you see them the rate that they're falling because one of their main powers was secrecy. All right, the secrecy and the lies. So now that everything is being revealed through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua through the prophets. All right, this man is falling fast because he can't pull a fast one over the people anymore, man. That veil is being lifted from the people's eyes.
Mm-hmm. God. Verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
Mm-hmm.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
And that's what he's attempting to do. This is why you hear talks like you do at the WEF from guys like Yuval Noah Harari and such. All right, that have this thought pattern that they're going to actually be able to be gods on the earth. All right, but that's not going to happen. Okay, like it says in the book of Ezekiel, thou shalt find out that thou art no god but a man. Roughly paraphrasing, man. All right, the Lord is about to humble this man like no other nation have ever seen. All right, you thought what happened with Pharaoh was something. Well, the Most High is going to have something even worse than Pharaoh happen to these devils, man.
Exactly. Verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Yeah, so you're gonna go from the very top to where you feel like you're a god, all right, to seeing your whole country that you built being destroyed, your kingdom being destroyed to where it's gonna go from that then to perpetual slavery. All right. Your plan to put everybody, all right, in perpetual slavery with that microchip, well, that's gonna be you when Yahweh Shah, returns and gives the Israelites the power to set the world back all right, man. Okay. Hey, you're gonna see how it feels to be a slave, to be marginalized, man, to be looked over, to be deemed worthless. All right, you're gonna feel all that, man. All right, because the spirit of the Lord, all right, it is having things move this way because we're at the end of Esau's age, man. Second Ezra 6 and 9, man. All right, for Jacob is the beginning of the world. Slaki, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, man. So we're literally witnessing this man and his kingdom go down as we speak. All right. So that pride and everything that Esau Edom is showing, all right, is first of all misplaced, but also is deceiving because he's about to go out in the most terriblest way, man. So you got anything else you want to bring out?
That was it. I mean, you know what? Like we saw, right? Esau is what's it? The 5 stages of grief. You
Yep.
know, he's exhibiting. I think it's the anger stage right now.
Mm-hmm.
He was in denial. Now he's trying to fight against it. And soon he's just gonna have to accept it, man. You know,
Yep. Ain't got no
so
choice.
this is we're watching the fall. Like the scriptures say, blessed is he who gets to see the fall of his enemies, man. Roughly
Mm-hmm.
paraphrasing. And we're getting to watch that, man.
That's it. Kind. So that will conclude the lesson. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. So with that, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us the truth. And shalom to the elect out there. Continue to keep the faith, continue to fight, because we're almost out of here. So with that, we're going to say shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.